You are listening to Directions from a Spiritual Tour Guide podcast. I am your host, Chanel Scott. I'm a psychic medium and energy healer who has been supporting those on a spiritual journey for over a decade. I'm your tour guide into the world of the unknown, showing you that the magic of the universe is at your fingertips. I believe spirituality is simple and fun, and this podcast will make it easily accessible, giving you the real talk on all things divine and spiritual, helping you to step into the flow. Manifesting your dreams because we all deserve to be living our best life. Are you ready for an adventure? Hello, sunshines, and welcome to episode 10 of Directions from a Spiritual Tour Guide podcast. And this week, we're talking energy. And more specifically, there's this energy of transformation in the air right now. And I wanted to talk about that. And it's always interesting because I always do kind of a tap in before the first of the month, and I kind of channel everything that needs to happen for the month with my podcast, with Divine Map, with my work. And I got a very clear message about this first podcast and what it was meant to be about. And then as I sat down to do show notes and kind of just tap into what it is that I wanted to share with you today, it felt like everything shifted. But then as I looked again, it kind of went back to where it was. And it was an interesting progression. There was a heaviness this morning that I couldn't ignore. And that's where the shift kind of happened for me about what I wanted to talk to you about. I always take time in the morning for quiet and calm. It's how I start my day. It's kind of my ritual. I have my tea and I sit in the quiet and I just allow myself to be calm and connect. It's the way that I set the rest of my day up to carry that calm throughout my day. And when I don't get that opportunity, when I have to hit the ground running, my day always feels a little more chaotic. So this morning it was pouring rain. And I was watching the news coverage of the Queen's funeral, and there was this heaviness and this awareness that I was feeling. There's also this awareness of the huge anniversary that we experienced yesterday of 9/11 and the energetics of that. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. I was driving through Toronto traffic to get to my OB appointment. I was pregnant with my first child, and I listened to a radio station that they joked around a lot on, and it took me a little bit, and I was like, they're not joking. And it wasn't until I made it to work after my appointment that it really kind of struck me. At the time, I worked at the Bay in Yorkdale Mall, which is a big mall in Toronto, and it was empty. And the only people that were there were standing in front of televisions. And it was eerie and unsettling. It was an incredible energy that had us all, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It was so big. I guess that's the way to put it. It was such a big event that shook the world. And it was the anniversary of that yesterday. And as you know, the Queen passed away earlier this week. Whether you're a royal or not, that is a big thing that happened. She has been a figurehead for the past 70 years. And this presence in the world, again, whether or not you agree with her or what she stands for, that isn't what this is about right now. This is simply about the energetics of transition, the energetics of change. And that is a massive change for the world. And I feel like I'm running in all directions here, trying to bring it all back together for you, but it'll all make sense in the long run, I promise you. So the other thing that happened this morning was I had the urge to walk in the rain. And that's not something I would normally do. I love going for walks in the morning with the dog, but this morning it felt necessary. It felt like it needed to be a part of my day before I moved into the work that I needed to do, before I came to speak to all of you today. So I threw on my raincoat, I put on the dog's raincoat, and I put an earbud in with some upbeat music, and off we went for a big long walk in the pouring rain. My coat was soaked. I was starting to soak through as we got back to the house again. But it felt so good. It felt so good to let the rain just kind of wash things away, to be present in this dreary and dismal weather, and to just keep moving. It felt like it was necessary. And I honored that today because I was able to, and because I wanted to feel it. I wanted to feel the rain. I wanted to feel the splashing. I wanted to move my body and get out and just be outside. It just felt like part of everything that was happening and that was going on in this moment. And I think it was partially just about me processing all these energies. So the final piece of that, I think, was the full moon that we had on Saturday. It has this, and as soon as I tap into it again, I can feel it, this pulsating energy that makes my heart almost skip a beat because it's so immense. It's so big. It's so powerful. And I'm not someone that gets hugely affected by moon cycles. I definitely am affected by them. I can absolutely acknowledge them. But this one feels like it has drawn me in and I can't let go of it. So there's this huge combination that we have the rain, we have the full moon energy, we have the energy of the world mourning the loss of a queen. We have the world and they're mourning the loss of those who all were lost during, after, and quite a while after for all those people that helped in 9/11 and then, got sick afterwards. It's something that has touched our lives in such a deep way that we can't forget it. And I'm grateful for that. We should never, ever forget that day. So this is where we start to talk about the transition of change. The energy that globally we have been feeling. There is this massive energy shift that we've been feeling since probably about 2010. That's when it really became predominant and unable to ignore anymore. Although I do feel like, 9/11 was the beginning of this. It was this thing that happened that ricocheted all over the world, yet had the deepest impact on the United States. Yet I feel like in Canada, because we're still so close to New York, that we also felt that ricochet to a certain extent, a little more than maybe some of the other parts of the world. This feels like in this moment of disaster, of crisis, there was so many that came together from both Canada and the United States to deal with the situation. Planes landing in Nova Scotia and the community just taking these people in who were deserted there, that couldn't go any farther because they couldn't return home. People coming from all over the country to help in the rescue mission in hopes of finding anyone alive. The brave people that were there during the crisis trying to rescue people. But then also there's this piece of people not just at ground zero coming together to take care of one another, but across the country because those planes had people that weren't just from that area, that they had people on them from other places. It was something that affected everyone in that area. It created this energy of taking care of each other again. And I feel like that's kind of the spark that started things. And although, it was a major catastrophe, and it would have been nice if we kind of came together in the world in a bigger way to, shift the energy. But it was just the beginning. It was the beginning of so many events that have created an awareness and an awakening. I feel like COVID also was this massive, I laugh because I call it the global exorcism that we had to have. But in that energy, it wasn't about purging the devil or the demons, but it really was this energy of remembering who we are, of coming back to our roots, remembering to take care of each other as neighbors, looking out for each other again, coming back to family, spending time together. I know that was a huge one for me. We were such a busy family, and to just be together, it was amazing in that sense. The kids and I in the kitchen, cooking and teaching them how to cook meals, baking, finding ways to entertain ourselves. We had a Harry Potter marathon, watching different movies throughout a couple of weeks, playing board games together as a family. There was just so many things that we found reconnection. And in that too, this piece of going back to our roots and finding time for things like baking bread, because you couldn't buy flour or yeast anywhere. Coming back to gardening. I think that was another one that had a revival during COVID. But it was just interesting to see these things happening, to watch this reemergence of connection. Even though we were so disconnected, we weren't able to be around each other in the ways that we normally would, but we found ways to connect, talking to our neighbors, our friends or family from a distance, making more time for FaceTime calls or phone calls, or just texting and checking in a lot more than we ever did before to make sure that everybody was okay. The world, I shouldn't say the world, the universe wants us to have this connection again. It wants us to remember how to connect to one another. And I think most importantly, to connect to ourselves. Having to be still through COVID made us have to get comfortable with ourselves again. And I totally honor that not everybody could do that, and that COVID created a lot of mental health issues. But there's this piece of it that really allowed us to get connected, to be in nature, to be quiet, to be inward during COVID. We had a lot of time to think. We had a lot of time to reconnect and recalibrate. I feel like all these things, 9/11, the Queen's death, even it just being September. September is like the new January. The kids are going back to school. There's these shifts and changes that are happening as we welcome the season of fall, which is all about releasing and letting go, which is exactly what we've been being told by the universe for months and months and months to do, is to release the things that no longer serve us, to release and let go of the burdens that we have been carrying that we no longer need to carry with us. We are in this energy right now that is big. And it is about shifting, and it is about changing, and it is about really becoming who you truly are. It is about showing up as yourself. And again, I honor that that is not an easy thing to do. When I started to transition into this work, I, under my breath would say, I talk to dead people. Because it was almost like I was ashamed of this beautiful gift that I am totally not ashamed of, yet I acted that way because I was afraid of what people would think. I was afraid of what people would say. Now, not so much. Now I have no problem telling you who I am and what I do. And I hope that you have found that too. Because the energy right now is all about that. It is about discovering who we are and how we show up in this beautiful world and how we can do that each and every day with authenticity and integrity to really be okay with who we are. And the beautiful thing is that mental health has become this forefront thing that everybody accepts with so much more dignity and grace than we ever did before. And I am the first one to say the greatest gift you can ever give yourself is therapy. Everybody should do therapy. Everybody has a reason to go. And it's so soulful to take care of yourself, to take care of your mind, your body, and your soul, to allow you to show up authentically. Being authentic is such a gift. It is so empowering to stand in who you are. To not worry about where the judgment comes from, because that energy of keeping up with the Joneses is long gone. Yes, we have all these influencers on social media, and I feel like there's so many people that look up to that. But I feel like there's even more people that just are like, that is what it is. That I am who I am and they are who they are, and I'm just worried about how I show up in the world. That being an influencer is less about being this thing, this symbol, this status, but instead there are so many more influencers who are just about being a leader. I feel like I've been all over the map talking to you guys today. I feel like this has been this jumble of so many things that have been coming up for me today. But again, this is about me showing up in authenticity and about who I am. And that's what the energy feels right now. This pulsating jumbo jet of energy that is, catapulting us forward, that is asking us to hold on tight as it takes us to this beautiful new place. And I don't think that it's going to be a smooth ride. It never really is it? It's the bumps along the way that teach us so much, that help us to learn and grow. It is the moments like the death of the Queen and observing the people who have these connections to this sovereign woman who never really gave an interview or, connected to us in those kind of ways, but everybody has these beautiful stories about their connections to the Queen. Seeing these people mourn, the streets lined with people just to see her casket drive by. Same as 9/11, there's so many of us who have flocked to ground zero to just be present in its energy there, to be able to show our respects to the people that lost their lives in that tragedy. But let's not let another tragedy be the reason that we transition and change in the world anymore. Can we just choose to be better people? Can we ask ourselves how to just be a good person? to show up, to be, again, authentic and integral. To go back to a thing or a place in time where someone's word meant something. Where if someone was in need, we found a way to help. Where we let go of judgment because there's no need for it. We're all just trying to survive here. And if we can lend a helping hand or a shoulder to cry on or just words of support, that maybe that's the bigger thing right now. Maybe that's what takes us into this new generation, this new place of change. That we don't need these major things like COVID or 9/11 or the Queen's death to be a moment of change. That we're just choosing to step up to the plate and show up in a way that is change. Because it's us that make the difference. Each and every single person in this world can make a difference. And can you imagine the power of coming together to stand up for the things that we believe in, to create equality, inclusivity, to stop seeing black and white and his and hers, to see poverty and to see the rich. But instead, can we just see each other's hearts and souls? Today, ask yourself, what do you feel in this moment? What is the shift and change that you're feeling? And how are you showing up through it? We can't avoid what's happening. Well, you can dig your heels in, but the outcome of that is never that great. It just makes the lessons bigger and more powerful when we learn them. But wouldn't it be great to just learn the lesson in this small factor of it? Because then it's a little smoother and more graceful. So how are you going to accept change in your life? What are the parts of you that you are letting go that no longer serve you? The parts, the belief systems, the habits, the things that need to change for you to move forward with more joy and happiness and love. What are the parts of you that you embrace and want to make bigger each and every day? The world is a big place, yes. But yes, the smallest of people, single people, can make lasting change. So, although what you do may be small, and it may be simple, but the smile you give to a stranger as you pass them, the thank you for holding a door, or just the general kindness you offer someone in a moment of need is immense. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And embrace this energy of change in whatever way that you can. Taking the moments to contemplate and to reflect and to continue to move forward with all that you have learned. To create this beautiful new space for yourself. To create this space of everything that you have ever dreamed of. Because it's there, it's waiting for you. You have the choice to reach out and grab it, or you have the choice to dig in your heels and not change. It's totally yours. Do I think the world has given us enough to create this change? Well, I would like to say yes, but sadly, I feel like the answer is no. I feel like there are still things that are happening, like the war in Ukraine, that will continue to have explosive nature, to create the vision, to create the awareness that we need to continue to move forward? Do I feel like there is a world out there that maybe I'll get to live in? Maybe my grandchildren will get to live in, that is more peaceful and more profitable in this sense of gross happiness? Yes, I do. I feel like there are so many souls that want to evolve and change and live a more peaceful and joyful life that it's happening. It might not happen quickly. We may have to have some more big things happen to shift and change us, but it's happening. It's unavoidable. It's energetic, and it's happening. So thank you for listening to me ramble on today about the energy of change. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Drop them down in the comments or reach out to me on social media. I'm always happy to connect. I love to connect. If you're looking to deepen your own awareness of self, of your intuition, maybe jump over to Divine Map. The subscription is available for enrollment until the end of this month when doors close again to the Divine Map membership. They are still at founder's rate, which is $29 Canadian per month. As a founder member, that won't go up as long as you're an active member in the club. And it is a membership that continues to grow and have deeper value each and every month. There is both recorded and live things happening. And it's really the real talk on spirituality, on all things mystical and divine. There are opportunities to learn and grow your own skills, to connect with meditation and yoga, mentorship. October is mentorship month, so make sure you get in before the end of this month to jump in on that. So much to offer. So, yeah. Thank you so much for being here with me today and listening to another episode of Directions from Your Spiritual Tour Guide. From my heart and soul to yours. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye now.